Have you ever witnessed just a perfect clash of total tactical opposites? Like, like a scenario where absolute unbridled offensive chaos meets
Meets a completely unyielding structured defense.
exactly. And when an aggressive, high-tempo system crashes into that kind of rigid defensive block, well, one of those frameworks just has to fracture.
It forces a really fascinating structural breakdown for sure.
And that is exactly why you are getting a front row seat to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to break down an absolute nail-biter of a matchup from the Manheim Academy Manball season.
We're talking Game 10.
Game 10, the Verdant Deer taking on the Crimson Tigers.
And we've pulled a pretty massive stack of sources today to extract the actual mechanics of this matchup.
Yeah, we're looking well beyond just the standard official game logs.
Right, we've dug into the league rulebooks, specifically those recent amendments regarding verticality fouls. We've got detailed player telemetry stats and some highly revealing leaked internal team strategy sheets.
Those strategy sheets are gold.
They really are. And even if you're totally new to Manaball, you should care about this specific game because it strips away all the highlight reel noise.
It's a masterclass in tactical warfare.
Exactly. It shows what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object and how elite coaching staffs adapt when their primary win conditions are just systematically dismantled.
Okay, let's unpack this. Setting the stage in the Manheim Dome, you might already know the environment. We've got the electric vibe of the hunting arcane barriers enclosing that 210-foot stretch.
The mana-gravity shear zone rippling right through the neutral plane.
Right. But what makes this specific collision so compelling is how these two rosters exploit those environmental mechanics in completely opposite directions.
Right. So to bring you up to speed on the battlefield, Manaball is essentially four-dimensional chess.
7-on-7?
7-on-7 played in an aerial arena with a mana orb, and the key is the flight band.
The three vertical layers.
Exactly. You have the upper layer, the semi-solid neutral plane, which is kind of like the ice in hockey, and then the lower layer.
Let's look at the Crimson Tigers first. You probably know their reputation as the league's premium aggressive force. They are the unstoppable force here.
Highly explosive.
But the leaked strategy sheets reveal the mechanics of why their highly unusual 3-2-1 formation is currently breaking the meta.
3 centers, 2 strikers, 1 defender.
Right. Most teams view those 3 vertical layers as separate zones to transition through.
Yeah.
But the Tigers coaching staff, they treat them as a single fluid column.
It's wild. They dominate all 3 vertical layers.
Their signature Crimson Collapse play is a perfect example of that explosive tempo. It looks like pure chaos on the broadcast, but the rulebook analysis we did highlights something brilliant.
By pushing 3 centers simultaneously while their 2 strikers dive bomb from the upper layer,
They are intentionally flirting with the Section 4, Paragraph 2 loitering regulations.
they really are. They overload the vertical airspace so fast that the arbiter's tracking metrics can barely register the congestion before the orb is already in the net.
It creates a kinetic chain that just overwhelms standard defensive rotations.
But then you have the Verdant Deer, the immovable object. The logs show they built their entire patient 1-2-3 defensive system to counter exactly that kind of vertical overload.
They don't even try to match the Tiger's altitude.
No, in fact, the Deer's strategy sheets explicitly instruct their defenders to completely concede the upper layer.
Which is crazy.
They anchor themselves heavily in the lower layer and the bottom edge of the neutral plane to intercept and counterattack.
Which flies in the face of conventional wisdom. Usually surrendering the high ground is a total death sentence.
But the Deer's signature forest trap utilizes the mana-gravity shear to their advantage. They force opponents to pass downward through the densest part of the arena's magical resistance.
It slows the orb's velocity just enough to intercept it. Here's where it gets really interesting. Going into Game 10, the entire analytical community was asking one question.
Will the Tiger's sheer speed and velocity puncture Verdant's gravitational structure?
Or will the Deer drag the highest scoring offense into a slow, grinding, physical lower layer trap?
And the telemetry data from the opening whistle gives us the answer immediately.
Let's actually shift into the live analyst desk perspective here, because the pace of period 1 dictates the entire game script.
Let's do it.
The head arbiter drops the levitating mana orb into the neutral plane, and we are underway. Right away, you see the friction.
The Tigers want vertical transitions, but the Deer are intentionally gumming up the horizontal lanes.
Center Bannock McBain secures the opening possession, and he drops the tempo entirely. He gets exactly what Verdant wants.
He isn't looking for a quick strike. He's utilizing the dome's transparent arcane barriers, cycling the orb along the perimeter, directing traffic.
And the physical attrition down in the defensive zone is absolutely brutal.
You can see it clearly in the heavy hits between Deer defender Leo Wuskov and Tigers enforcer Chad Griffith near the barriers.
Griffith is a morphomancer, actively shifting his body mass to anchor himself against the boards to carve out a passing lane.
But Wuskov is incredibly disciplined. She's leveraging her mana boots to strike him right at his shifted center of gravity.
The Tigers are getting visibly frustrated. They are circling the upper layer, but that 1-2-3 defensive grid is geometrically flawless across the bottom 2 layers.
And that frustration leads to the first critical error. McBain controls a loose orb near the defensive perimeter.
He feeds it to center Marco Moon. Moon scans the neutral plane. He spots a microscopic gap in the Tigers' overcommitted backcheck.
He threads a pristine, flat trajectory pass through the traffic.
Striker Val Magnotti catches it in full stride. She accelerates into the open air, winds up for a massive drive shot.
It blurs past Tigers' guardian Devin Grazzo.
Goal. The Verdant Deer secure first blood. 1-0 Deer, midway through the period.
That is the forest trap functioning at peak efficiency.
But the Tigers do not panic. As the first period ticks down, they stop trying to force the orb through the dense center and start using the perimeter.
Late period response here. Sydney Distancic, their elite playmaker, fakes a standard drop pass.
She looks up and threads a beautiful arsing pass over the defense to Autumn Fallon.
Fallon is perfectly positioned in the slot. She cleanly redirects the orb right into the 8x6-foot goal.
The equalizer hits right before the horn. We're tied 1-1.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the scoreboard says 1-1 at the end of the first period. But the Deer have successfully dictated the tone.
Absolutely.
Every single goal is going to have to be earned in blood today. They forced a track meet roster to engage in a lower layer trench war.
Stepping into period 2, it is a gritty start. The Deer's defensive core, Briarwood, Teresa Walder, and Wuskathe, are essentially constructing a mobile fortress.
They are blocking absolutely everything.
And we have to shine a spotlight on Deer Guardian Carter Vobbs here.
Incredible performance. When Ty Clyde, the Tigers' premier dangler, finally cracks the defensive grid and accelerates on a fast break through the neutral plane.
Vobbs makes a phenomenally sharp stop. He perfectly bisects the shooting angle.
But you cannot keep a team with a 3-2-1 kinetic chain contained indefinitely.
You know you can't, and midway through the second period, the Tigers break the trap. Distancic intercepts a clearing attempt right out of the air,
immediately transitioning into an offensive strike.
A lightning-fast feed down to Ty Clyde in the lower layer. Clyde fires a quick snapshot.
And it's in the net.
2-1, Crimson Tigers.
But the Deer's resilience is staggering. Late in the second period, the Tigers overextend.
The Deer clear the zone, and defender Teresa Walder steps aggressively up into the offensive zone.
She takes aim from deep within the neutral plane.
She launches a massive, heavy long shot. It slips right past Grazzo's left side. Tie game, 2-2.
What a response.
Oh, yeah.
As we move through a grueling, scoreless third period, the shot differential metrics are incredibly tight.
Looking at the official logs, the Tigers finish regulation with 25 shots, while the Deer sit at 23.
Which perfectly reflects the nail-biter game type classification in the logs.
And that brings us to the climax, the sudden death overtime period.
5 minutes on the clock.
Regulation ends 2-2. We are in a 5-minute sudden death overtime. Both teams are incredibly cautious,
Prioritizing possession above all else.
knowing a single mistake ends it. The stakes are monumental. The arbiter drops the orb.
The Tigers abandon the upper layer entirely and initiate a heavy forecheck.
The pressure forces the turnover. Sydney Distancic gains the orb near center dome. She accelerates through the neutral plane.
The Deer defense collapses on her, setting up a localized trap.
But Distancic slips a brilliant microscopic quick pass through the lane.
To Liz Hadbucks, the team strategic commander.
Hadbucks has drifted completely into open space.
Yeah.
She strikes cleanly. It's a laser pass Vobbs. Goal.
Unbelievable.
The Crimson Tigers win 3-2 in sudden death OT. An absolutely incredible sequence.
What a finish. Let's take a breath and look at the post-game desk analysis, because breaking down the stats really tells the story here.
The final box score shows that the Tigers' star players made the ultimate difference.
Distancic led with 2 primary assists.
And Fallon, Clyde, and Hadbucks all found the back of the net.
When the structural systems neutralized each other, elite top-end talent in playmaking still found that one microscopic crack to win a game.
But the Verdant deer shouldn't hang their heads at all. They successfully turned the game into their preferred physical grind.
They executed their system perfectly.
And Carter Vobs had an incredible night in the Guardian Circle, facing 25 shots, making 22 saves.
That's an .880 save percentage against the highest efficiency offense in the circuit.
But we also have to highlight the Guardian duel on the other side.
Tigers guardian Devin Grazzo had a massively clutch performance,
He stopped 21 of 23 shots for a .913 save percentage.
keeping the Tigers alive during the Deer's late pushes. What's fascinating here is the tactical lesson for you, the listener.
Yeah.
Even in a suffocating defensive grind, talent finds a way.
So what does this all mean? To wrap up this deep dive, the Crimson Tigers survive a massive scare, proving their offense can adapt to physical traps.
They can win ugly.
Exactly. While the Verdant Deer prove their lower layer defensive system is terrifyingly effective against the league's absolute best.
Which leaves us with a really provocative final question for you to ponder.
Let's hear it.
In a four-dimensional sport with 3 vertical layers, does a heavily defensive lower layer strategy, like the Deer's, ultimately put a ceiling on a team's championship potential?
That's a great point.
When facing 3-dimensional offenses in a long playoff run, can conceding that airspace ever win you the final trophy?
Something to mull over as you keep exploring the playbook. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Keep analyzing the tape, and we will catch you next time.